In 2024, in Mpumalanga, South Africa, the Pleston campus of Oasis College had a huge influx of students. The surge in the students signing up was because of the excellent matric pass rate that the school was getting. They were in the newspapers. All the other parents who had sent their kids there were hyping it up. Also, it was being marketed at church. Yes, you're already here. Bring your child to our school also. I checked out their websites, by the way. Somewhere there, when the website is actually working, God only knows who they paid to code that website. Every so often, either the security certificate will fail, or it's not paid for. So then there will be no page at all. So when I did find it, when it was online, there's a part that says prayer and fellowship at the school is mandatory. So whether you like it or you don't like it, we don't care if you're a Muslim, you have traditional beliefs, you are going to believe in what we believe in. You are going to pray all the time. Remember what the students said, every week there's some sort of spiritual activity. So when these students are coming in, they are told that they are going to start grade 8 here and they are going to finish matric here. You're gonna find out why a little bit later. And as these students are coming in, a lot of them are actually spiritually gifted. They have ancestral callings. They are children who will have visions, or they are spiritually inclined, if you will. If not that, then their parents or their grandparents are the ones who are spiritually inclined. So naturally, if your parents or grandparents are spiritually inclined, they know exactly what happens at most of these schools, especially if it's a religiously founded school, a religious-based school. They want the children to be protected. So the children would be given things like amulets, they'll be given things like beads, they'll be given things and procedures such as amabandi. I spoke about this last time. Amabandi or ibandi is like a mojo bag or a grigri bag that we use to protect ourselves, right? It's a lucky charm, if you will, but a proper, like an intense charm. It's usually something permanent that sits on the person. The most highly effective form of ibandi is Ukuthwala, the surgical type, where the medicine flows through your blood. Because with that one, it only needs to be reinforced maybe every 1 or 1.5 years. It's there permanently in your body. It's like a spiritual chip in your body that's going to protect you from most things. Let's say, for example, somebody rips your beads off, or somebody rips ibitani lako off, or ipai lako gets confiscated, then at least you know you've got that thing in your bloodstream. Nobody can touch you, right? It's a very similar implement to the one that I used. Remember when I said somebody tried to cripple me?
Here I am collecting one of my traps. This is a trap that I use to collect negative energies when things come into the house or are brought into the house.
Yes, I woke up, I dreamt about my Kobela, and he told me in the dream, hey dummy, remember what I gave you? So I went and I took that thing, and it was in my bloodstream. So when the items came into the house that caused me to have that seizure, it was more than a seizure, actually it was a stroke. It registered as a stroke, but the hospital can't tell me that it's a stroke. They can't confirm. They don't know what caused it. They don't know what happened. They function very similarly. Those things will pick up a spiritual infection and they will strengthen your spiritual body, usually either your angel or your ancestor, and then they are able to fight on your behalf, because what that thing was designed to do is to cripple me, the human. So I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything, right? And then my ancestors, Netunga, they took over. They had to do everything. I was conscious. I was very much watching everything happen, but I couldn't move. One of the students, who is a grade 8, her name is Utoliwe, right? Not her real name. She goes home. When she gets home, she starts acting up. She starts speaking in a different voice, and she starts repeating a phrase over and over. She says to her parents,
I beat Mina. I'll beat you.
And the parents are like, hi boy, and then what's going on with you? They're trying to reason with her. Naturally, you see your child speaking, saying weird things, you're gonna be like, hi boy, what's wrong with you? Not only is she saying, Mina, I beat over and over, in between, she's speaking a foreign language that the parents couldn't recognize. Toliwe's grandmother comes, and Toliwe's grandmother is Isangoma, an African traditional doctor. And she says this child is speaking Nigerian, right? I assume she would know what Isindawu or Isilozi sounds like, Masparola. She says, no, this is a Nigerian language that she's speaking. So she's trying to speak to the child and ask the child, who are you? You know, you saw in the video, who are you? What's going on with you? What happened? And the child just says, Mina I beats, sprinkled in with little bits of Yoruba there. The grandmother then says, no, there's something that this child brought back from school with them. I suspect that it's something in her school bag. I feel like it might be one of her school items. If you've watched The Headmaster, there's a second story that's going to relate to that, right? There's another child who had a book incident, Kosiam. My goodness. The grandmother calls another grandmother who lives down the street and asks that grandmother to send their child, right? The child goes to school with Utholiwe. So when the child gets there, they ask the child, like, what is Utholiwe going on about? And the child says, hi bo, Utholiwe is saying exactly what our grade 8 maths teacher always says when we don't do our work, which is Mina I beat. So you are threatening these students with acts of violence for God knows what reason. Let me reiterate what the students said. Let me go back. I asked the students, can you tell me some of the events in your own words so I can get a better understanding? One of the students who has an ancestral calling told me that she was slapped and that her bladder was prayed over without her consent. Is this true? And the student replied, yes, they are hitting us. And the girl who has the ancestral calling, who was possessed, was speaking just like our maths teacher, saying, I will beat you. So they are threatening these children with violence and they are physically abusing the children. So let's leave the religious aspect out of it for a second. You are physically abusing these children in school because corporal punishment is illegal in South Africa. Yes, it is. The student also says, imagine we get beaten because we do not underline our work. See, those people are abusing us emotionally and physically from the students themselves. The fellow student confirms that it is in fact the voice of the grade 8 maths teacher. The father of the girl then records the video. He records the video and he's saying, look at what is happening to our children at Oasis. He's beseeching the other parents to see what's going on, and he posts the video in the WhatsApp group for the other parents to see. When the video is posted in the WhatsApp group, the principal, right, the undermasters say that these are false allegations. There's no such thing going on at the school. The parents are unhappy with this response and they ask for the headmaster to intervene in the matter, him being the person who owns the school naturally. So Meneer pulls up. He's coming to deal with the situation. When Meneer shows up at the school, the parents are there. Toliwe's parents are there. Kudos to them, right? Shout out to them. That is what you should do as a parent. When you see something's wrong, you don't just trust that it's going to be resolved after sending a video in the chat. No, you take your things and you take your child and you go there and you say, what are you guys doing? What are you up to? Please, parents, help me. Help us. You need to stand up for your children. The teachers, the principals, the headmasters, they are supposed to be your child's parents in your absence. You are trusting these people to look after your child, not only to look after your child, but also to educate them, right? To make them responsible adults one day, functional members of society. Your child is getting to school, they are being discriminated against based on religion and faith. They are being mentally, emotionally, and physically abused for not performing according to however they're expected to perform. At the same time, they are expected to maintain a 100% matric pass rate. Can you fucking believe? Goddamn, these poor kids. Remember as well, in the camp, I think it was either the camp or the headmaster, either the supernatural events were causing the school bell to ring and disrupt the students' sleeping patterns and study schedules, or someone was intentionally rigging the bell to disrupt the students' rest. Either way, and the students are still expected to perform at their best. That's crazy. Toliwe's parents are there. The headmaster then doesn't really offer a solid explanation, right? His solution to the whole thing is to suspend the grade 8 maths teacher, who is a woman. Why are you suspending the teacher if the teacher didn't do anything wrong, Meneer? Also, I'm curious to know if he actually asked for the students to come and give their testimony. I highly doubt he did. I don't know that part. But from what I gather, it was just the parents that were there. And then Meneer decided to suspend the teacher. And at the same time, Toliwe's parents made a great call. They decided to keep her away from school for a couple of weeks. Let me check comments. One thing about Black South Africans and Christianity, they will be gullible too much. It's a huge brainwashing exercise, Kosiam. It's actually so disappointing because you get to realize how dumb most of our elders are. It's a cult. Whether we like it or we don't like it, you get there, you can't even reason that what is happening is right or wrong. You just blindly believe. Whatever you say, I believe you. Whatever you say I must do, I'll do it. Hey, Nkosiami. Oh, Nkosiami, the child's bladder. A child who had an ancestral calling. When we have ubizo, especially if singabantu abanamanda, remember Mpumalanga. So most of the kids are Swati, Tsonga. Most likely 80% of them have umdao. So if you're praying over that child's bladder, you're gonna cause problems for that child. That's the root chakra. Imbande, essentially. Isinye. The source. What are you doing praying over kids' bladders who have an ancestral calling? You know more than you're letting on. But you're going to hear. You're still going to hear. I thank God every day that you guys are at least going to be far better parents than yours. Me myself, I'm even terrified to have kids on my own. Hence, y'all need to be my babies. Yes, mother knows best.
Mother, no.
This mother. Hey, but for me to bet my own, ooh, yes, Saba. I still have my own shit to heal. I would rather homeschool my kids fully. They definitely would know way more than they let on. Definitely. Usazozwa. Khuleka usazozwa. So Toliwe is taking some time off to recover and recuperate from whatever it is that is happening. Poor child. Hey, this part. So when I'm assuming this was probably like on a Thursday or a Friday, where Toliwe's parents went to see the headmaster. Then it's a weekend. So when the week starts, the headmaster is like, okay, I'm gonna deal with these grade 8s myself, because clearly these children are trifling. He calls a little assembly of sorts just for the grade 8s. Y'all remember in his story, Meneer, the headmaster, he called meetings just for grade 12s. The camp was specifically for the grade 12s. So it's a trend. A trend of isolating certain groups. That's terrifying. It's giving cult leader behavior. It's giving Charles Manson. He says to the grade 8s, I had a dream. And in this dream, all of you were baby chicks. What do you mean, please? I've never dreamed of children as chicks or any other type of animal. Aren't children supposed to be children? They either show up younger than they are or slightly older than they are, not as animals. Also, it's giving the neighbor story time. Why are you? He says he was carrying the chicks on a tray. Yeah, the tray that you guys like to use for spells with basil and rosemary. While he's holding these chicks, they are slipping off the tray. He's holding them now in his hands, and they're even tumbling out of his hands into a whole fire. You know, the last time I was telling this, I didn't even realize like hellfire. I'm still just thinking like bonfire. Like hell as a concept doesn't exist for me, so I hardly think like that. But we were chatting about Dante's Inferno with Goglora, and I was like, oh shucks, he means that fire. That's crazy. And naturally kids would be scared of that. But he then goes on to claim that God showed him this dream as a sign that the grade 8 learners would be falling into the fire due to, and I quote, seeing and speaking about things that don't concern them. How, Chief? You know that the kids are speaking. How do you know what the children are seeing? And what do you mean it doesn't concern them? Surely they shouldn't be seeing anything. They should just be speaking about you beating them and threatening them and abusing them, coercing them into things they shouldn't be doing. What is it that they're seeing that's got you dreaming about hellfire, sir? At the same time, all the spiritually gifted kids, the kids with Itunya, the kids with an ancestral calling, the kids Ababoniswayo, are having negative experiences and reactions when they are on the campus, right? There's quite a few that we'll get into later on in the story. So the kids are having negative reactions when they're on the school premises, right? Some of them are breathing heavily. They just can't control themselves. As soon as they get onto the school grounds, they start breathing heavily. Some of the students are fainting. Some of the students are having amadlos, ayapagama. Because remember, Anisha, they are wearing amabandi, they are wearing their amulets, their protective charms. So naturally, if something sketchy or something low vibrational is there, the kids are gonna have a reaction. Yes. But also, let's look at it scientifically, right? From a psychological perspective. You are going into an environment where you are constantly being threatened. Not only that, the headmaster and the principals and the teachers clearly have bad intentions. They're all a bunch of abusers. Your energy field, your aura is going to pick up on that, especially now if we go into spirituality. If you're spiritually inclined, even more so, you can sense that. So you become afraid. Yes, and remember, they are still pretty much children. So it's not their inner children, it's them, the children. The children are afraid. And so they are having physical responses. They are having trauma responses to whatever it is that they know is happening at the school. Not only are they fainting and breathing heavily and making ancestral exclamations, some of them are just turning up with bloodshot eyes. They wake up at home, they bath, they're healthy, they're clean, they get to school, suddenly they have bloodshot eyes. Bloodshot eyes are a very common symptom of either a serious psychosis or of what we term spiritual possession, specifically demonic possession, as a result of Ukuthwala most of the time. It's very difficult for demons to actually hop into someone's body. Usually you're just responding to whatever pact has been made on that ground. It's affecting you. Especially if you have an ancestral calling, your ancestors are going to feel that thing. During this assembly, right, he then continues. He says that now that they've entered his school, they are going to finish matric there. They are not going to go to any other schools. He says even if they leave, even if they snitch, they tell their parents and their parents pull them out, they are still going to come back. Because why? Because in Mpumalanga, if you have to rewrite your matric, you rewrite it at Oasis. Also, what he means to say by that is because of how the academic structure is set up there and how the Ukuthwala, the Pacts, is set up, the kids are guaranteed to pass. Yeah, so if they go somewhere else, that school doesn't have the same juice that he has. Oh no, honey. They don't have the V8 engine. Bloodline, bloodlust. He then says, Kosiami, the students who are concerning themselves with the spiritual matters of the school are going to have problems. What do you mean? He then goes on about ritual pacts, Ukuthwala, during his lecture. He talks about bringing in other pastors. Bringing in other pastors, okay, it's a threat, but okay, that's a typical Christian thing that happens. Why are you talking about Ukuthwala, sir? You are a Christian pastor. Why are you talking about blood pacts, please? He then concludes the lecture by saying that he has to pray for the deliverance of the grade 8s. To prevent them from falling into this fire, right? So they can... And as we previously spoke about in the headmaster, he then tells them to line up. He begins praying for the grade 8 boys first. The first boy that he prayed for, as soon as he put his hands on him, without the boy's consent, the boy fell over and was unconscious. As far as I'm aware, that's a criminal act because you are rendering another human being unconscious against their will without their consent. So that's the first student. Menier puts his hands on the second boy. The second boy falls on Menier's shoulder and falls asleep. That's what the student said. The boy fell asleep. He didn't faint. They said he was sleeping. He was snoring. And no matter what they did to wake this boy up, he wouldn't wake up. So when the boys and the other students see this, they naturally become scared. Some start crying and they're protesting and they're saying, no, like we do not want to be prayed for. Does Menier stop? Oh no, he doesn't. He continues. He moves on to the girls. The first girl that he prayed for also fell over. When she falls over, she has a whole seizure. The school nurse isn't called. The parents are not called. The hospital is not called. There are 2 other teachers in that room with them. They do not intervene. They watch the student having a seizure. Anything could have happened to that child. They could have lost motor skills, neurological function, anything could have happened, and nothing was done to prevent that. When the student wakes up from having the seizure, the student begins to bang their head against the wall. Another situation that warrants an ambulance or a doctor or a school nurse being called. Was one called? No. Oasis College. This is how you treat children. But there's more. The next girl that is prayed for is one of the girls who has ibandi, as I explained. This girl would naturally be more sensitive or more susceptible to sensing or picking up whatever is within Munir. I hope you guys are catching that. It all starts when he touches them. For as long as he's not touching them, they're okay. Yes. So the student with Ibandi falls on the ground and begins hissing and writhing around like a snake. This is confirming the same story that was told by the other student in the headmaster, remember? Yes. That's what I loved, is they all are corroborating each other. Every single one of these accounts that I get, it confirms something that the other student said. Batung. He continues praying for the girls. So one of the last few girls that he prays for is actually Toliwe's friend. She also has an ancestral calling. When he touches her, she starts screaming. She starts frothing at the mouth. That's another seizure. That's a symptom of a seizure. Because what type of prayer makes kids froth at the mouth? And notice that the kids with the most adverse reactions are the ones with the spiritual protection, with amabandi. Yes? When she's frothing at the mouth, she's also sort of grabbing at herself and saying that she feels like her ancestors are beating her from inside. That's usually what happens. Remember what I said with my own experience? Yes, it's almost like your body can't move, your body can't function, and then your ancestors have to take over. And then depending on where exactly in your body your ancestors or your angels sit, that's where you would feel that pain, because they're trying to fight this thing out of you. After he prays for the friend is when he then prays for Utholiwe. When he puts his hands on Utholiwe, she immediately begins speaking in Yoruba. So according to the student, though, naturally they don't know that it's Yoruba. The student says that Utholiwe starts speaking in a language that the rest of the students couldn't understand, which makes sense. While she's speaking in this language that the other students don't understand, she's also making praying motions with her hands. The student who's telling me the story says that it's the same motions that they would make at church. So this time it's not the grade 8 teacher who's speaking through her, it's somebody else, another member of the congregation. So what type of healer is she? I want the English term for it. What is she? Oh, don't get me started on cognitive dissonance, Mkhulu. I just think of my own family and I get an extreme headache. I'm a Christians who tell us to introspect and retrospect, but they have the biggest cognitive resonance. Child, table salt. That's the part that kills me. Table salt, cerebos. Not black salt, not rock salt, not pink salt. Table salt. Simos is like, ooh, Tsogoza, ooh, I got gogo. My grandmothers love that dude from Simos, Africa, but me, the human, I can't stand him. He's a great person. Please don't get it twisted. That's me being toxic. Me, Miranda, I don't like that nigga. Yeah, but my ancestors, they love him. So he knows that they are affecting them? Yes, he does. 100% yes, he does. How are you threatening children? You, a grown man, you are married, you probably have your own children. You are threatening other people's children to maintain your reputation. You're not asking, hey, are you guys okay? What can we do to make you more comfortable? What do you need? What can we do as a school to ensure your safety and well-being? No, you are threatening the children. Did you guys see Njengobaniti? They out themselves unconsciously. I've blocked him now, but on my Sosobala story, the title of the stories is Ukuthwala 1, Ukuthwala 2, Blood Pacts. There was a pastor there, right? I went on his page. He's a whole church, whatever. So he says, I can't remember what the comment was. And then I said, ooh, don't get me started. I'm still coming to you and your people. Ooh, I have such a juicy story time from last year that I want to repost about the Randburg pasta. Yes. So I said to him, don't get me started on your people. And he says, I know all about them. So you'll know about yourselves. He's all over my shit. He can't breathe. Because why is your FYP pulling up witch talk things? Sangoma things. Because those are the hashtags I use. Yeah, mina nkosi yami, I'm a witch full time. I'm not a sorcerer. I'm loyi, but ngiyathagatha full time. Why you on my stuff? Doesn't Jesus say I'm bad? Why are you here? Why are you chatting to me about Ukuthwala and your colleagues? Hey, laba nkosi yami. Kancane kancane uyavela umenier God does expose. From the camp, we knew. From the Christian school, we knew. I can't remember what's going on there by YouTube if I have them in order. But what I want to do is I want to finish with the water series, right? I found the Baba Mlambo story from last year. I want you guys to see that I don't lie. Yeah, one or two things is a little bit different, but the story is the same. The trauma is there forever. The story will never change. Everybody's shook how all the stories are connected. Yes. My grandmothers are the storytellers. I'm just the speaker. I keep telling you guys, they are the legends, right? Can't wait for them to be making movies, because yeah. The parents allow this and question the child and not the teachers, most of them. Sadly. What I like though, when I seen it, a lot of the parents are coming into my DMs saying, hi bo, my child goes there, is that true, whatever. Ooh, nkosiam. There's a story time called The Book Review. It's from a parent of one of the students who had a situation with the book. The same teacher who collected the grade 11 maths books. You guys are not ready. You guys are not ready. You are not ready. Clairvoyant, close, but no cigar, serious. Spirit medium, correct. Medium, correct. They want to be us, so they are us. They are actually sorcerers. Hence, I said in that video, you guys are preparing the bodies of dead Jews and the blood for people to drink. Please, you are summoning ghosts. How? You are performing exorcisms, usually on people who have nothing wrong with them. Remember what I said to you guys when I was in college? I had never seen or heard a demon speak or be in front of me until I gave my life to Jesus, until a Christian pastor put his hands on me and put me underwater in the middle of the night. Yes, this is what I always say. That's my premise for also saying we're all witches. You can't be Isangoma without knowing how to cast out dark entities. You can't know how to heal cancer without either having experienced the cancer yourself or watching someone waste away from the cancer. We usually start with animals, right? For me, one of my tests, if you go on my YouTube, right? When the dogs got sick, there's a part that I didn't tell. Let me tell it quickly, right? The part that I don't tell in that where the dogs have parvovirus is when we got to the SPCA at Dundee, the SPCA straight up told us, no, you have to go to the vet. We can't help you. These dogs are going to die. As we drove out of the SPCA, we bumped into Igedla. He was coming out of the forest by Forestdale. Yes. And he said to me, how, Makosi, not you not being able to heal your own dogs. He's like, and I was like, Makosi, to be fair with you, I have not finished my trial by fire, right? Which is where you learn about blood diseases and how to heal animal and human blood. So he gave me a crash course. He says, he says to me, they're going to tell you have a disease soon, right? And I said, what do you mean? He said, because your dogs have been smelling it on you. And I was shook because how do you know? My dogs would, where they cut out the tumor in my thigh, the dogs would constantly sniff it. So he said to me, how can the dogs sniff your tumor, but you cannot sniff the tumors in your dogs? And I was blown away. Then he took me then to the forest. My mom, the Christian, watching with big eyes. She was so shook. He took me into the bush. Wakaya, wakaya, wakaya. He mixed medicine, put it into a syringe, gave it to the dogs. He actually volunteered at the SPCA. Can you imagine? So he is Igedla who specializes in animals, and they treat him like rubbish over there. He stole some food for us from the SPCA to give to the dogs. That's a healer. And the dogs lived. Had we not met that man, those dogs were going to die. So yes, when I'm Kulu, they do study demonology, and then they act like they know nothing about it. It's not a shock anyway to me. It's so lame that a whole Vatican has so many failed exorcisms. The exorcism of Emily Rose is based on a true story. There was no reason for that girl to die. That girl started being possessed when she started attending varsity, right? And she stopped going to the Sunday weekly ritual. Yes, hey, but we're not here for that. One day we'll go through the exorcism of Emily Rose. Woo, that movie kept me awake for many, many nights. Don't they say after they take the communion that it's a covenant with Jesus? A contract, a pact. You eat your master's body and you drink his blood. It's giving Nosferatu. It's giving the strain. Yes, I have to drink of you in order to turn. Suddenly I'm seeing and hearing things. Yeah, Sodamakosi, that's how it goes. And then the same Jesus you're in a covenant with, sometimes it's a human being that lived, sometimes it's a ghost. Now his ghost is telling you to do things, speaking in tongues. Hey, baggage. I actually questioned the animal mediums. I thought it wasn't true, but this makes me believe it. Oh, it's very real. Remember specializing. Some people specialize in treating animals. Tinemakaya, we don't have vets. There's no vets. We went to the Department of Agriculture, who's supposed to help us with animals. She gave us syringes. My grandmother looked at, my grandfather looked at that syringe and he was like, if you give that syringe to the dogs, they will die. So we never gave them the syringes from the Department of Agriculture. I mentioned it in the video. I said I got this syringe from the Department of Agriculture. I tested a little bit of it in one of the dogs. The dogs immediately developed a lump. My grandfather was like, I told you, throw that thing away. Take these dogs to Dundee. Most of the Christians that come to spiritual TikTok wants to convert by force. Ow, they will be soft. I will soften them. Don't worry. Bazoba soft, bazotam. Okay, lovers and friends, let us continue, please. Woo, my favorite part is coming. Toliwe is now making praying motions like they do at their church, and Idlozila Kelia Bonga, which is to say her ancestors are speaking up. You know, when we go, yo, when your ancestors are usually protesting against something, or they're letting you know that they're uncomfortable or there's some sort of unrest. So she's going through that. What does Menir do? I quote, Menir says, you shut up. Shut up, ancestral spirits. You're forward. What do you want here? Go home. Why are you meddling in things that don't involve you in my school? But I'm going to put in how the student said it. Yo, she cracked me up. I cried.
Started moving like Yabonam, Mapatandas. Mapatandas are in there constantly moving their hands and they are saying something. That's how she was like, cream pea. And then she started saying eo, and then you know what the headmaster said? Tulawin alfutria papu funan la salade kagid. Ufunan daw dugatin doriting afuniwa na la skolet.
Who taught you how to speak to ancestors? Or are you trying to say this kid's ancestor is a demon? How dare you say somebody's ancestor, we are Papa? Oh, Abo Menier. She says when her turn came to be prayed for, and Menier put his hands on her, she started praying really, really hard. She was crying. She couldn't hold herself back. But she says as soon as he took his hands off her, she grabbed a mirror and she started slashing her wrists. That is what the power of a Christian pastor is. Whether it's psychological, emotional, or spiritual. Was the doctor called? No. The headmaster then asks the rest of the students who escaped the putting upon of hands if they have any problems that they would like for him to pray over. And one of the students says that he usually sees dead people, and the dead people will follow him generally wherever he is, at home, with his friends, socializing. But as soon as he gets to the school, the dead people refuse to follow him onto the school grounds. Honestly, I don't know why the student would tell Menier this, but I like to think they were coerced, right? They were fearful to a certain extent. So while all of this is happening, one of the students who has an ancestral calling says that they need to go and drink water. They are thirsty. Menier says, and I quote, "You are not leaving here. Now, if you leave here, you will not get to where you want to go." A student is thirsty. Thirst is not like a lust or a want, it's a need. The human body is majority water. You are denying this child water. Not only are you denying this child water, you are then threatening this child through mental manipulation, emotional manipulation, and spiritual manipulation, telling the child that if they exit the classroom, they're not going to reach where they want to go. How? Menier. After he says this, the student actually dashed. The student tried to run and escape out of the classroom. And when the student tries to run out of the classroom, as soon as they got to the door, they fell over. They fell over just outside the classroom. The students who are there in the classroom, not the students, the teachers, are the ones who pick up the student and bring the student back into the classroom. Still no doctor. Still no parents. None of these adults are standing up to say, "Hi, but what you're doing is wrong. Stop." For correction, I said it was Menier and 2 other teachers. No, it was Menier and 3 other teachers. Four grown adults total watching all of this happen, not intervening, not trying to put students at ease, watching and taking part. The viewer says that all of these experiences have traumatized them, not just them, but the other students as well. All of them are very traumatized by all of this, and most of them have told their parents. The parents don't believe the students. When the parents do confront Menier just says, "Well, where are you going to take your child? There's nowhere else for your child but here." Not only do they say that these events have traumatized them, they say that it has affected their overall well-being and mental health. Specifically, these are high school kids. This is not coming from me. This is from them. This is from the students themselves. The parents either don't believe them, ignore them, tell them just to pray, and keep them in the school for the academic performance. This is what the viewer said. It's what most of the other students say as well. The headmaster told the students that there's no demon in his school. He goes there himself to pray every night. Why not during the day? On the weekend? Why every night? I know you're lying as well. You don't have the energy to go there every night, but I know for sure you're going at night. But the gag is, the hostel students claim that as soon as he leaves after those evening prayers, they can see an old man standing on the school grounds watching them through the hostel window. And that's usually when those events of the flashing and the people crying in the bathrooms will begin. There's a whole other story time called The Hostel. There's one called The Book Review. There's one called The Voices. The end. The events shared regarding the Oasis College are from the perspective and experience of the viewer. They remain allegations until they are proven to be true. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Be kind, like the video, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Togoza.